Hello, good afternoon everyone. Peršendetje. Welcome to the short press conference by High Representative Josep Borrell and Kosovo Prime Minister Albin Kurti after their meeting. We are running very late on time, that's why we go to introductory statements and then we take one question each from one side. High Representative, you have the floor.
Prime Minister, good afternoon. I am very glad to host Prime Minister Kurti today at the premises of the European Union External Action Service. Thank you, Prime Minister, for choosing Brussels for your first trip abroad as Prime Minister. We see this as a clear signal of the Kosovo's European aspirations. And I also hope that this visit can mark the beginning of our intense cooperation to advance on the European Union-Kosovo relations. That's what we have been discussing today, our bilateral relations, the domestic situation in Kosovo, the prospects for the Belgrade-Pristina Dialogue, and regional developments. Not only about Belgrade-Pristina Dialogue, which is for sure one of the most important items in our agenda, but others like regional development, bilateral relations, domestic situation in Kosovo. I praise you for the strong mandate that you received from the people of Kosovo. And when a leader receives a strong mandate from their people, it means that they are offering you a clear opportunity to undertake important reforms pending from too much time, reforms that will bring Kosovo closer to the European standards and on the way to the European Union. We expect you to use these opportunities with determination because we also want to see Kosovo advancing on the European path. Believe me, Kosovo is not alone on this. You can count on continued support on reforms, building on the work already done over the past years, which is important, but far from being enough. We will continue supporting you in the fight against the coronavirus and in the economic recovery to overcome the pandemic together. And this is not just empty words. We are the largest provider of financial assistance to Kosovo. Sometimes I'm hearing voices say, well, the European Union does not much for Kosovo. Well, much is a quantity. You can quantify. Since 2007, Kosovo has received almost 1.3 billion as pre-accession assistance, which is, if I am able to calculate quickly, it's more or less almost 100 million per year. Much or not much, this is the figure, which is quite impressive. In the context of the coronavirus pandemic, we allocated Kosovo another additional 68 million for medical and socioeconomic needs, and 100 additional millions on macro-financial assistance. Allow me to remind it, in order to face some criticism that from time to time comes to here, alleging the lack of interest or the lack of support of the European Union to Kosovo. In terms of vaccines, 95,000 vaccines are now incoming to Kosovo, funded by the European Union, not from COVAX, from the European Union directly, additionally to the support provided by COVAX, to which, as you know, we are one of the largest contributor, if not the largest contributor. And to conclude, let me say a few words about the Belgrade-Pristina Dialogue. The European path of Kosovo leads through this dialogue. There is no other way. There is no alternative to it. Reaching a comprehensive, legally binding agreement on normalization of relations with Serbia is essential to move towards the European perspective. Without it, the road will block. That's why I encourage Prime Minister Kurti to constructively engage on this. I am sure he understands perfectly Me and my team, and especially my special envoy, Miroslav Lajcak, thank you, Miroslav, for the work you're doing. Stand ready to help the new Kosovo representative to get familiar with the process, which is already ongoing. We are not starting it now, have been working on it with the previous government, and we cannot throw through the window the work done with the previous government. You have to be aware of that, to get familiar with it, in order to continue the process. In order to continue the process without significant delay and to produce the necessary result. It's not going to be easy, it's not going to be pleasant, but for the benefit of the people in Kosovo and in Serbia, for the benefit of the whole Western Balkans, we need this process to resume soon, and we aim to have a first high-level meeting. I don't want to put, from my side, any kind of deadlines, but you and me, we have in mind a precise limit in the time that we agree on doing that before the end of June. Thank you, Prime Minister, for your visit. Thank you for this frank and candid conversation. Thank you for your willingness to engage. But at the end, Kosovo needs it, and we are here only to help.
Thank you, High Representative. Prime Minister, you can go ahead.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, Mr. Borrell. It was a pleasure and honor to meet and discuss openly and friendly. As you've mentioned, my first visit abroad as Prime Minister of Republic of Kosovo is in Brussels. We've met with different officials of EU institutions, European Commission and European Parliament. Today in the morning I also met with Secretary General of NATO, and later on during the day I will have the honor to meet with the President of European Commission, Madam von der Leyen. We are committed to European Union. European Union and NATO have no alternative for Kosovo. We even showed this during difficult times of pandemic COVID-19. Kosovo is a country that doesn't even imagine to take vaccines from powers coming from the East, namely Russian Federation and China. We look up to EU. We see EU not only as a structure of institutions, but also a principled historical value and as a progressive vision for the future. That's why our orientation for EU and NATO is profound and substantial. Has nothing to do with everyday politics, has everything to do with the people of Kosovo and where do they see themselves and their country in the future. We had a big victory on 14th of February. A month ago, I took office as Prime Minister. I came to this visit with my two deputies, Deputy Prime Minister Besnik Bislimi, who is in charge of European integration, development and dialogue, and Deputy Prime Minister Madam Donika Grvala-Schwarz. She is also Foreign Minister and in charge for issues of diaspora. And I wanted to show that for us, this visit is not only symbolic. And that's why, besides high delegation, we met with 5 EU commissioners yesterday. And we discussed about all sorts of developmental issues: energy, agriculture, rural development, economic affairs and finances, justice, etc. And we want to align all our governing priorities and governing program with European vision. There can be an easy synchronization between our program as a new government on one hand and European orientation and vision on the other. So we look forward to close cooperation. It is true that we won on a ticket of jobs and justice. These are our 2 top priorities. And we are now, amidst pandemic, where we got one contingent of 24,000 vaccines in late March. We will soon get another contingent of COVAX program early May. We need more vaccines as soon as possible in order to enable our diaspora to come back to Kosovo during summer holidays and help us boost our economy, because remittances from our diaspora amount to half of the annual state budget of Kosovo. So we are very much dependent on diaspora in this respect, and easing situation with the pandemic is crucial both for our public health but also for our private economy. Dialogue will not be neglected by us. That's why my first Deputy Prime Minister has in his portfolio dialogue. I will be coming again in mid-May in Brussels for the dinner that you will be hosting with other Western Balkan 6 leaders. And I look forward to have meetings regarding next chapter of dialogue, which I believe should be principled in order to bring sustainable and implementable agreement. You can count on my goodwill and my readiness for direct contact and communication, because to facts and interests in the Western Balkan 6, we should also add values and principles, and there is no better place for that than Brussels.
Thank you very much. Now we can take questions. So first question, the pool of European media, EU media. Okay, so we take Kosovo media first.
Yeah, thank you. Jerash Ratuina, Kosovo Television. Mr. Borrell, you clearly stated what would happen if Kosovo doesn't engage to the dialogue. And you said that Kosovo... You said clearly that Kosovo will be blocked without dialogue, but given the poor track record of European Union towards keeping its promises not only to Kosovo but to the region, what is your incentive to make Kosovars be constructive and come to the negotiation table and discuss unpopular issues as special districts for North or special status for Kosovo Orthodox Church, etc., etc.? And to Mr. Kurti, you refused to come on May 11th, but obviously you will come before end of June. Now, where's the difference between May and June in terms of your participation in the dialogue?
Well, I haven't said that Kosovo will be blocked. No, I said the European path will be blocked, which is not exactly the same thing. It's clear that without an international status widely recognized, the European path of Kosovo has no future. You know, we are helping to the dialogue. It's mainly on the interest of Kosovo to perform this dialogue. It's not in our interest. It is in our interest also, because we want the stabilization, peace, and prosperity in the Western Balkans. But it's mainly an interest of the Kosovo to engage in this dialogue. It's not, they are not making me a favor. It's me who's trying to help. And about this long record of fulfillment about the European Union with respect to the Western Balkans, I'm a little bit fed up with the story of not delivering and not supporting enough and not helping. There is a long record of financial support that it seems not to be taken into consideration. There's a long record of engagement. And we will continue engaging with Kosovo, with Serbia, with all the Western Balkans in order to offer them a clear European perspective. And I think it would be good if the people of the Western Balkans in general, and the Kosovo in particular, be aware of the efforts, the help, and the support that the European Union has been providing to them.
Thank you for your question. There is a certain timetable ahead for our government and a certain logical order of things. Next week in Pristina, in my cabinet with ministers, we are going to approve our governing program and working plan, and that afterwards has to be brought to Parliament of Kosovo for discussion. On the other hand, we need more information and document regarding previous agreements and process in general, to dwell upon it in order to prepare ourselves. And at the same time, during month of May, we will meet with the opposition in Kosovo in order to have their input as well. We just want principled dialogue and well prepared. I don't think that we can afford new mistakes and failures. That's why preparing well means taking it seriously. And first, we're going to have this Western Balkan leaders working dinner. And in month of June, at some point, we can start with the next chapter of the dialogue within the auspices and mediation of European Union.
Thank you. Last question.
Thank you so much, Jack Parrott, Euronews. Good to see you, Prime Minister. Hi, Rep. So my question is on these non-papers. We've had 2 of them alleging border changes. I know you've tried to quash them throughout the week. The Serbian president as well. Everyone's trying to sort of say that they're not existing. But the reality is that if they are in our vision, these allegations are there. Someone is trying to put them there. What are you doing, firstly, High Representative? Are you trying to collar some of the EU member states that you suspect might be circulating them? And how difficult do things like this make your work? And for you, Prime Minister, has your position changed on border changes in the Western Balkans? Is it in any way conceptually viable for you as now a leader in the Western Balkans? Thank you.
There is a proliferation of non-papers. It seems to be a la mode, huh? If you don't have a non-paper, you are no one. Look, I haven't received any of these alleged documents. I hope that tomorrow will not be another one on the stage. I am not working with non-papers, and I have to say about the last one the same thing that I said about the first one. For me, these phantom documents are not an issue, and I am really sorry that there are fake news and disinformation circulating about it. I see some newspapers attributing to one of my civil servants here at the External Action Service something to do with that. I have to deny on the stronger terms, and I ask him for the responsibility of the media not to diffuse fake news that create trouble, create a toxic environment. Let's look at the real problems, putting papers on the table, on the dialogue table, for example, in order to be constructive on serious things like this.
Well, to be honest, I think that the best answer to non-papers is no comment. But nonetheless, I would like to add something to what His Excellency Mr. Borrell said. I don't believe in solutions where they see regions only in terms of geography and demography, without socioeconomics, without security, without citizens of the republics, without human beings. To me, those maps look like fake photos from satellites, or like sketches of some bad sci-fi movies of alien invasion to planet Earth. So I wouldn't pay much attention. We should listen to the people, to institutions, and all these tests that are being done. Perhaps they are threats. We don't know from whom, to what ends, but dealing less with them, I think that we help ourselves.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, High Representative. Thank you, colleagues. Yeah, that's it. You have to run.
Thank you.
Okay, have a good day. Bye.
We're going to go.